Every morning, I woke up in strange places. The backyard, inside my car, once on my neighbor's porch. I didn't remember how I got there. Doctors said stress. Then police came. 15 burglaries. 6 months. This neighborhood. We have evidence. What evidence? Fingerprints, DNA, camera footage. Impossible. I didn't do it. But the evidence was real. My lawyer asked for something. My Fitbit downloaded the data. His face changed. Trevor, what are you doing at 2 a.m. every night? Sleeping. No. You're walking. Every single night. 3 kilometers. They went to my garage. Found boxes, items I didn't recognize. 15 homes worth of stolen property. In my garage. I didn't remember. None of it. My name is Trevor Walsh. I'm 39 years old. And someone was telling me I'd done something impossible. But the evidence was telling a different story. Let me take you back 9 months. I was working as an IT specialist in suburban Phoenix. Good job at a tech company, nice neighborhood, quiet life, nothing remarkable. I'd been having trouble sleeping for about a year. Work stress, long hours, tight deadlines. Some nights I'd barely sleep at all. Other nights I'd sleep but wake up exhausted, like I hadn't rested. I started noticing strange things. Mud on my feet in the morning, scratches on my arms I didn't remember getting. Once I woke up with grass stains on my pajama pants. I assumed I was going outside in my sleep. Sleepwalking. I'd done it as a kid occasionally. Thought maybe the stress had triggered it again. I mentioned it to my doctor during a routine checkup. He said it was probably nothing. Stress-related. Recommended better sleep hygiene. No screens before bed. Regular schedule. Maybe some melatonin. I tried his suggestions. They didn't help. The strange mornings continued. Waking up in weird places. No memory of how I got there. But I was functional during the day. Work was fine. Social life was normal. So I didn't push it. Just figured it was something I had to live with. Then came March 15th, a Saturday morning. I woke up on my back porch, barefoot, cold. It was 40 degrees outside. I've been out there for who knows how long. That scared me enough to take it more seriously. I scheduled an appointment with a sleep specialist, Dr. Angela Morrison. She ordered a sleep study, said we needed to monitor my brain activity overnight, see what was actually happening. The sleep study was scheduled for April 10th. I never made it, because on March 23rd, the police showed up at my door. 2 detectives, Detective Frank Rivera and Detective Sarah Chen. They asked if I was Trevor Walsh. I said yes. They asked if they could come in. I let them. We sat in my living room. They looked around carefully, taking in details. Finally, Detective Rivera spoke. Mr. Walsh, are you aware there have been multiple burglaries in this neighborhood? I wasn't. I work from home mostly. Don't pay much attention to local news. He continued. 15 homes have been burglarized over the past 6 months, all within a 2-mile radius of your house, all between midnight and 4 a.m. No forced entry. Items taken, but nothing high value. Photos, jewelry, small electronics. Personal items mostly. We've been investigating, and we've found evidence. My stomach dropped. What kind of evidence? Fingerprints. DNA from hair and skin cells. All matching one person, a person whose prints and DNA are in the system from a previous background check. You, Mr. Walsh. The room tilted. That's impossible. I've never broken into anyone's home. Detective Chen leaned forward. Mr. Walsh, we also have security camera footage from 3 of the homes. The footage shows someone matching your height and build entering these residences. The timestamps correlate with the burglaries. I felt like I was going to be sick. I don't understand. I'm home every night. I go to bed around 11. I wake up around 7. Detective Rivera pulled out his phone, showed me a grainy security video. A figure walking up to a door, opening it, walking inside. The quality wasn't great, but the body type looked like mine. The walking pattern looked like mine. Do you sleepwalk, Mr. Walsh? Sometimes. I've been having issues with that lately. Have you ever sleepwalked into other people's homes? Not that I know of, but I don't remember what I do when I'm sleepwalking. The detectives exchanged glances. Mr. Walsh, we need to search your home, specifically your garage. Do we have your permission or do we need a warrant? Search it. I have nothing to hide. They went to my garage. I followed. They started looking through boxes, old storage, holiday decorations, tools. Then they found something, a box I didn't recognize. Detective Chen opened it. Inside were items, a photo frame, a necklace, a small tablet, a watch. She held up the photo. Do you recognize this? No. She showed it to Detective Rivera. He checked something on his phone. This photo was reported stolen from a home on Maple Street. February 8th. The watch? Stolen from Oak Avenue. January 15th. One by one they went through the box. Every item matched a reported burglary. I stood there, unable to process what I was seeing. This isn't possible. I didn't take these things. I don't even recognize them. How did they get here? They found 3 more boxes, all filled with stolen items. Items from 15 different homes, all in my garage. All things I had absolutely no memory of taking. Detective Rivera arrested me, read me my rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. I called a lawyer from the station, Mitchell Preston, criminal defense attorney. He arrived 2 hours later. We talked in a private room. I told him everything. The sleepwalking, the strange mornings, the complete lack of memory. Mitchell listened carefully, then asked a question that changed everything. Do you wear a fitness tracker? Yes. A Fitbit. I wear it all the time, even sleeping. Do you still have access to the data? Yes. It syncs to my phone. Mitchell leaned back. That might save you. If you were genuinely sleepwalking, your biometric data would show it. Heart rate, movement patterns, sleep stages, all of it would be recorded. We need that data. The bail hearing was 3 days later. Prosecutor argued I was a flight risk, had committed 15 felonies, should be held without bail. Mitchell argued I had no prior record, strong community ties, a medical condition that explained my behavior. The judge set bail at $50,000. My parents mortgaged their house to pay it. I went home wearing an ankle monitor, forbidden from leaving my property. Mitchell started building our defense. He brought in a sleep specialist, Dr. Harold Chen, different from the Dr. Morrison I'd been planning to see. Dr. Chen reviewed my Fitbit data going back 8 months. The data was incredibly detailed. Every night, every hour, every minute, tracking my heart rate, my movement, my sleep stages. Dr. Chen found a pattern. Starting in October, 6 months before my arrest, I began having episodes. Every few nights at first, then more frequently. By February, it was happening almost nightly. The pattern was consistent. I'd fall asleep normally around 11 p.m., enter deep sleep. Then around 1 or 2 a.m., my movement would spike. Heart rate would increase, but my sleep stage data showed something strange. I wasn't entering REM sleep during these periods. I was in a state called NREM sleep, non-REM, specifically stage 3, deep sleep. During these episodes, my Fitbit showed me walking, sometimes for an hour, sometimes longer, covering distances of 2 to 4 kilometers. But I was asleep the entire time. Dr. Chen explained it to Mitchell. This is parasomnia, specifically a form of sleepwalking called NREM arousal disorder. The person appears awake, can perform complex tasks, open doors, navigate spaces, even move objects, but they're actually in deep sleep. They have no conscious awareness, no memory formation, no voluntary control. It's a medical condition, not a choice. Mitchell asked the critical question, could someone in this state commit burglary? Dr. Chen nodded. Absolutely. People with severe parasomnia have been documented doing remarkable things. Driving cars, cooking meals, in this case, walking to nearby homes, entering them, taking objects, all while completely unconscious. It's rare but well documented in medical literature. Mitchell filed a motion, requested the court order a formal sleep study. The judge agreed. I spent 2 nights at a sleep clinic, connected to dozens of electrodes, cameras recording everything. The results were conclusive. Night 1, I had an episode at 2:17 a.m. The video showed me sitting up, getting out of bed, walking around the room, trying door handles, picking up objects, moving them, all while the EEG showed I was in stage 3 sleep, deep unconscious sleep. My eyes were open, but I wasn't seeing. I was moving, but I wasn't choosing to move. I was a passenger in my own body. Dr. Chen testified at a preliminary hearing, explained parasomnia, showed the Fitbit data, showed the sleep study videos, explained that I had no criminal intent, no conscious awareness, no ability to form mens rea, the legal term for guilty mind. The prosecutor fought back, argued that sleepwalking was a convenient excuse, that plenty of criminals claim they don't remember their crimes, that lack of memory doesn't equal innocence. But Mitchell had more evidence. He'd mapped my Fitbit data against the burglary timeline. Every single burglary occurred during one of my documented sleepwalking episodes. The timestamps matched perfectly. The distances matched the walking data. The heart rate patterns matched arousal from deep sleep. He also brought in another expert, Dr. Rebecca Torres, a forensic psychiatrist. She explained something crucial. People who commit crimes while sleepwalking show specific patterns. They don't plan, don't cover their tracks, don't take valuable items strategically. They act bizarrely, irrationally, take random objects, leave evidence everywhere. That matched my case perfectly. I hadn't forced entry, hadn't disabled security systems, hadn't targeted valuable items. I'd taken photos, cheap jewelry, personal items with no resale value. I'd left fingerprints and DNA everywhere, left doors open, made no attempt to hide evidence, because I hadn't been conscious, hadn't been aware I was committing crimes. The prosecutor brought in his own expert, Dr. Michael Foster. He argued that parasomnia was being overdiagnosed, that many people claim sleepwalking as a defense, that the condition was too convenient, too easy to fake. But under cross-examination, Mitchell destroyed him. Asked if Dr. Foster had reviewed my Fitbit data. He hadn't. Asked if he'd reviewed the sleep study videos. He hadn't. Asked if he'd examined me personally. He hadn't. He was offering opinions about a case he hadn't actually studied. The preliminary hearing judge ruled in our favor, found that there was sufficient evidence of parasomnia that the case warranted a full trial with a medical defense. The trial was scheduled for November, 6 months away. During those 6 months, my life fell apart. I couldn't work. The ankle monitor made it impossible. My employer put me on unpaid leave, said they'd wait for the trial outcome but couldn't keep paying me. My neighbors avoided me. 15 families in my neighborhood had been victimized by me. Even if I'd been unconscious, I'd still invaded their homes, taken their belongings, violated their privacy. Some were sympathetic, said they understood it was medical, but most were angry, scared, wanted me gone from the neighborhood. I started treatment. Dr. Chen prescribed medication, clonazepam, a benzodiazepine that suppresses stage 3 sleep, reduces parasomnia episodes. I also installed alarms on all my doors and windows. If I tried to leave in my sleep, they'd wake me. Set up cameras, locked my bedroom door from the inside with a combination lock. Took every precaution to ensure I couldn't sleepwalk again. The medication worked. The episode stopped. The Fitbit data showed normal sleep patterns. No more unexplained walking. No more waking up in strange places. But the damage was done. 15 families, 15 homes, 15 violations. All because my brain had malfunctioned. Because I'd been walking and acting while unconscious. The trial started November 3rd. The courtroom was packed. Victims, media, curious observers. This was an unusual case. Sleepwalking defense, medical condition versus criminal liability. The question everyone wanted answered, can you be guilty of crimes you committed while unconscious? The prosecution went first, presented all their evidence. Fingerprints from 7 different homes, DNA samples from skin cells and hair, security footage from 3 residences showing a figure matching my description, the stolen items themselves, arranged on tables for the jury to see, photos, frames, jewelry, tablets, watches, random personal items. Nothing particularly valuable, nothing that made sense as targets for a burglar. That actually supported our defense. A conscious burglar would take valuable items, would plan, would be strategic. I'd taken random things with sentimental value but no resale value, things that made no logical sense. Then came victim testimony. 15 people, 15 families, 15 stories of violation. The first was Margaret Chen, 72 years old, retired teacher. She testified that I'd entered her home on January 9th, taken a photo of her late husband. She'd had the house for 40 years, never felt unsafe. until she realized someone had been inside, had touched her things, had violated her space. She cried on the stand, said she couldn't sleep anymore, had installed new locks, new alarms, still didn't feel safe. I sat there listening, feeling crushing guilt. I'd done that to her. Maybe not consciously, maybe not intentionally, but I'd still caused that harm, still destroyed her sense of security. Next was David Park, 45, software engineer like me. He'd been burglarized in February. I'd taken his daughter's necklace, a gift from his late wife, irreplaceable sentimental value. He'd reported it immediately. The police had no leads at the time. Now he knew it had been me, his neighbor, someone he'd waved to in passing, someone he'd considered safe. He said the betrayal hurt more than the loss, that knowing it was someone local, someone trusted, someone who seemed normal, that made it worse. One by one they testified. Helen Rodriguez, whose wedding ring I'd taken, Marcus Stewart, whose vintage watch disappeared, the Johnsons, who'd lost family photos. Each story was similar. Small items, personal items, taken from homes within walking distance of mine. All during early morning hours, all leaving behind fingerprints and DNA. The prosecution's case was devastating, not because they proved intent, but because they showed harm, real harm, to real people, regardless of my mental state. Then Mitchell presented our defense. He started with my background, showed I had no criminal record, no history of theft, no financial problems that would motivate burglary, showed I had a stable job, good income, no need to steal. Then he introduced the Fitbit data, had a tech expert explain how Fitbit tracks everything, heart rate, movement, sleep stages, GPS location, all stored in the cloud, all time-stamped, all objective. The expert walked the jury through 8 months of data, showed normal nights first, me going to sleep around 11, entering deep sleep, staying in bed, normal sleep architecture, then showed the abnormal nights. Starting in October, episodes where my movement would spike, heart rate would increase, but sleep stage data showed I remained in stage 3, deep sleep, the most unconscious state possible. The expert overlaid this data with the burglary timeline. Every single burglary occurred during one of these episodes. The correlation was perfect. January 9th, Margaret Chen's burglary. My Fitbit showed me leaving my house at 1:47 a.m., walking 1.2 kilometers, returning at 2:31 a.m., all while in deep sleep. February 14th, David Park's burglary. Fitbit showed departure at 2:15 a.m., walking 0.8 kilometers, return at 2:52 a.m., deep sleep throughout. Every burglary matched. 15 burglaries, 15 Fitbit episodes. Perfect correlation. The prosecutor tried to suggest I could have left my Fitbit at home, gone out consciously, then created false data. But the heart rate data was consistent with sleepwalking. Elevated but not conscious level elevated. The movement patterns showed wandering, not purposeful directed movement. And most damning, the GPS data showed me visiting locations I had no conscious knowledge of. Some homes I'd never seen in daylight, didn't know the addresses, couldn't have planned to target them. Then Dr. Chen testified. He spent 3 hours explaining parasomnia, used brain scans, medical literature, case studies. He explained that the brain is not a simple on-off switch, that consciousness exists on a spectrum, that during stage 3 sleep, the motor cortex can remain partially active, while the prefrontal cortex responsible for awareness and decision-making is completely shut down. This creates a state where the body can move, can perform tasks, can even navigate complex environments, but the conscious self is absent. He showed the sleep study videos. The jury watched footage of me in the sleep clinic. Night 1, 2:17 a.m. I sat up in bed, eyes open, got up, walked to the door, tried the handle repeatedly. When it didn't open, I walked to a chair, picked it up, moved it, set it down, walked back to bed, lay down. All of this took 4 minutes. The entire time, the EEG showed stage 3 sleep. My brain was producing slow delta waves, the signature of deep unconsciousness. Dr. Chen paused the video, pointed to my face. Look at his eyes. They're open, but unfocused. There's no tracking. no reaction to visual stimuli. This is not a person who is aware of their surroundings. This is a body moving without conscious control. He played night 2, similar episode. I got up, walked around. This time I tried to open a cabinet, failed, walked to a table, picked up a medical chart, looked at it, set it down, returned to bed. Again, the EEG showed deep sleep throughout. The jury was riveted. This wasn't theoretical. They were watching objective proof, watching my body move while my brain slept, watching the EEG confirm I was unconscious. Dr. Chen explained that what they were seeing was exactly what happened during the burglaries. I would wake partially, enough to move, but not enough to be aware. My body would walk to nearby homes, would try doors. When it found unlocked doors, it would enter, would pick up objects, would bring them home, all while I was completely unconscious. The prosecutor cross-examined, tried to poke holes, asked if I could be faking it. Dr. Chen said no. You cannot fake delta waves on an EEG. You cannot fake the specific brain patterns of stage 3 sleep. The measurements are objective. Asked if I could have trained myself to sleepwalk on purpose. Dr. Chen said that's not how parasomnia works. It's involuntary, caused by stress or sleep deprivation, not something you can control or direct. Asked if I bore responsibility for not treating it sooner. Dr. Chen said I hadn't known I had a serious problem. Sleepwalking as a child is common, usually resolves. I had no reason to think it had returned in dangerous form. The prosecutor moved to his strongest argument. Even if Mr. Walsh was sleepwalking, even if he had no conscious awareness, shouldn't he be held responsible for the consequences? Shouldn't society be protected from people who commit crimes unconscious or not? Dr. Chen paused. That's a philosophical question, not a medical one. Medically, I can tell you he had no control, no awareness, no ability to prevent these actions. Whether the law holds him responsible anyway is not my determination. That's for you to decide. The jury looked troubled. This was the crux of the case. I'd committed the crimes. The harm was real, but I'd been unconscious, had no intent, no control. Where does responsibility lie? Dr. Rebecca Torres testified next. Forensic psychiatrist. She'd evaluated me extensively. 5 sessions, psychological testing, review of my entire history. She testified that I had no antisocial traits, no personality disorders, no prior deceptive behavior. My psychological profile was entirely inconsistent with criminal activity. She also testified about consciousness and responsibility, explained that criminal law is built on the concept of mens rea, guilty mind, the requirement that a person must intend to commit a crime. Without intent, there is no crime. That's why children below a certain age can't be prosecuted, why people with severe mental illness can be found not guilty by reason of insanity. The law recognizes that consciousness and intent matter. She argued that my case was clear. I had no mens rea, no guilty mind, because I had no conscious mind at all during these acts. I was a biological machine operating without the software of consciousness. The prosecution brought their rebuttal witness, Dr. Michael Foster, neurologist. He testified that parasomnia was often overstated, that many people who claim sleepwalking are actually partially aware, that the condition was difficult to diagnose definitively. Mitchell destroyed him on cross. Asked if he'd reviewed my Fitbit data. He admitted he hadn't. Asked if he'd reviewed the sleep study videos. He admitted he hadn't. Asked if he'd examined me personally. He admitted he hadn't. So, doctor, you're offering opinions about a case you haven't actually studied? You haven't reviewed the objective data? Haven't examined the patient? Just offering general skepticism about parasomnia defenses? Dr. Foster tried to recover. Said he was speaking about parasomnia in general, that defendants often claim it falsely. Mitchell pressed. But we're not talking about defendants in general. We're talking about Mr. Walsh specifically. And you've reviewed none of the specific evidence in his case, correct? Correct. Then your testimony is irrelevant to this jury. Objection. Sustained. The prosecutor tried to salvage it. Asked Dr. Foster about other cases where sleepwalking had been faked. He provided examples, but they all involved cases without objective evidence, without Fitbit data, without sleep study videos, without consistent EEG proof. Mitchell pointed this out in recross. All the cases you've cited lack the objective evidence we have here. None had months of biometric data. None had controlled sleep studies. None had EEG confirmation. Isn't that correct? That's correct. So this case is fundamentally different from those. Yes. The prosecution rested. Mitchell gave closing arguments. He walked the jury through everything. The Fitbit data, the sleep studies, the medical testimony, the pattern of irrational behavior. He argued that I was a victim too, a victim of a medical condition that turned me into something I wasn't. That consciousness is what makes us human, what makes us responsible for our actions. Without consciousness, there is only biology, muscles moving, neurons firing, but no person making choices. He reminded them that I'd immediately started treatment once diagnosed, that I'd cooperated fully, that I'd shown remorse even though I'd had no control, that I was taking every precaution to ensure it never happened again. The prosecution gave their closing, acknowledged the medical evidence, but argued that responsibility extends beyond intent, that I had a duty to seek treatment sooner, that the harm I'd caused was real regardless of my mental state, that 15 families deserved justice. They argued for a guilty verdict with a recommendation for treatment rather than prison, a compromise that recognized both the medical reality and the need for accountability. The jury deliberated for 4 days. I spent those days in agony, unable to eat, unable to sleep ironically, unable to focus on anything except waiting. Mitchell told me he felt good about our case, that the evidence was overwhelming. Juries were unpredictable. Medical defenses were hard. People wanted accountability. On day 4, I got the call. Verdict was in. I drove to the courthouse with my parents. We sat in the gallery. The jury filed in. I tried to read their faces. Couldn't. The judge asked for the verdict. The foreperson stood. On the count of burglary in the first degree, case number 1, how do you find? Not guilty. My legs went weak. On count 2, not guilty. On count 3, not guilty. All 15 counts, not guilty. The courtroom erupted. Some people applauding. Some people angry, shouting. The victims looked devastated. Some crying. Some glaring at me. I felt relief, but also guilt. Overwhelming guilt. The judge restored order. Addressed me directly. Mr. Walsh, you've been found not guilty. However, the court has serious concerns about public safety. While you lacked criminal intent, your condition poses a potential danger if not properly managed. Therefore, I'm ordering the following conditions. Mandatory continued treatment with Dr. Chen. Monthly. Sleep studies for the first year. Quarterly thereafter. Continued medication compliance with regular blood tests to verify. Installation and maintenance of home security systems to prevent future episodes. Immediate reporting to authorities if any episode occurs. Violation of any of these conditions will result in criminal charges for reckless endangerment. Do you understand and accept these terms? I stood. Yes, Your Honor. I understand and accept. The judge nodded. This court recognizes that you are a victim of a medical condition, but we also recognize that 15 families were victimized by your actions, regardless of your mental state. I hope you take this seriously. I hope you continue treatment, and I hope you find a way to make peace with what happened. Court is adjourned. I walked out of the courtroom a free man, but I didn't feel free. I felt the weight of 15 families' pain, the devastation I'd caused, the lives I'd disrupted. In the hallway, Margaret Chen, the elderly woman whose husband's photo I'd taken, approached me. I braced for anger, for condemnation, but she did something unexpected. She hugged me. I'm glad you got help, she said. I'm glad they found out what was wrong. I don't blame you, Trevor. You were sick. I hope you heal. I broke down crying. Right there in the courthouse hallway, this woman who I'd violated, who I'd traumatized, was showing me compassion I didn't deserve. Not everyone was as gracious. David Park, the man whose daughter's necklace I'd taken, refused to look at me. The Johnsons walked past without acknowledgement. Several victims gave statements to the press, said they felt the justice system had failed them. That medical excuse or not, I should have faced consequences. I understood their anger, would have felt the same in their position. How do you forgive someone who invaded your home, even if they were unconscious? Even if they didn't intend harm, the violation was still real. 2 years later, I'm still processing everything. Living in Tucson now, far from Phoenix, far from that neighborhood. I found work at a smaller tech company, disclosed my history. They were understanding. I'm still on medication. Still have door alarms. Still wear my Fitbit every night. Quarterly sleep studies. Haven't had an episode in 2 years. But I live with constant vigilance. Every morning I check my Fitbit data. Verify I stayed in bed. It's obsessive. My therapist says I need to trust the treatment. But trust is hard when your brain has betrayed you. The guilt is constant. Some victims have reached out. Margaret sends Christmas cards. 3 others said they understood it was medical, that they'd researched parasomnia. Those messages mean everything, but most want nothing to do with me. Several moved away. Couldn't stay after what happened. I don't blame them. I've become an advocate for parasomnia awareness. Speak at medical conferences, at sleep disorder groups, at legal seminars. Share my story, the Fitbit data, the trial. Want people to understand parasomnia is real, can be dangerous. Treatment is essential. My case set legal precedent in Arizona. Established that biometric data can prove lack of consciousness. Several other cases have cited my trial. 2 resulted in not guilty verdicts. That's progress. My name is Trevor Walsh. I'm 41 now. 2 years ago, I committed 15 burglaries while sleepwalking. My Fitbit proved I was unconscious. A jury found me not guilty. But guilty is how I feel. Every day. Because I caused real harm. Intent or not. 15 families suffered. The law says innocent. Medicine says not responsible. But I'll never fully forgive myself. That's parasomnia. It robs you of agency. Turns you into someone you don't recognize. And when you wake up, you deal with consequences of actions you never intended, never controlled, never remembered. Living with crimes you committed but didn't choose. Being innocent and guilty simultaneously. The law sees one way, I see another. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make peace with both. 2 years later, I'm still processing everything that happened. The trial, the verdict, the victims, the guilt. I'm still on medication. Still have the door alarms. Still wear my Fitbit every night. Monitoring for any sign of episodes. Haven't had one since starting treatment. The medication works. But I live with constant anxiety. Constant fear that it could happen again, that I could hurt someone. I moved to a different city. Couldn't stay in that neighborhood. Too many people knew. Too much history. I found work again. Different company. Disclosed my medical history. They were understanding, accommodating. But I'm always aware of the stigma, the story that follows me. The guy who burglarized 15 homes in his sleep. Some of the victims have forgiven me. Understand it was medical. One even wrote me a letter. Said she was glad I got treatment. Hoped I was doing better. But others haven't. Still angry. Still traumatized. Still wish I'd gone to prison. I understand both perspectives. I caused harm even if I didn't choose to. That harm is real regardless of my intent. I've become an advocate for parasomnia awareness. Speaking at medical conferences. Sharing my story. Warning people about the signs. The importance of treatment. The potential consequences. Every year, thousands of people sleepwalk. Most do harmless things. Walk around their house. Go to the kitchen. Nothing dangerous. But some like me do serious things. Drive. Leave their homes. Enter other places. Commit crimes without knowing. The law is still evolving on how to handle these cases. Some jurisdictions treat sleepwalking as a complete defense. Others hold people responsible regardless. There's no clear standard. My case set precedent in Arizona. Established that parasomnia with objective medical evidence can be a valid defense. That Fitbit data and sleep studies can prove unconsciousness. That's progress. But it doesn't undo the harm. Doesn't give those 15 families their sense of security back. Doesn't erase the trauma. I carry guilt every day. Even though doctors tell me I shouldn't. Even though I was literally unconscious. I still feel responsible. Still wish I'd sought treatment earlier. Still wonder if I could have prevented it somehow. My name is Trevor Walsh. I'm 41 years old now. 2 years ago, I committed 15 burglaries while sleepwalking. Invaded 15 homes. Took items I don't remember taking. Traumatized people I don't remember meeting. My Fitbit proved I was unconscious. Sleep studies confirmed parasomnia. A jury found me not guilty. But guilty is how I feel. Every single day. Because intent or not, Conscious or not, I caused real harm to real people, and I have to live with that. Even if the law says I'm innocent, even if medicine says I wasn't responsible, the victims still suffered, still lost their sense of safety, still have to live with what I did. Treatment helps. Medication prevents episodes. Therapy helps me process the guilt. But I'll never fully forgive myself. Never forget that my broken brain turned me into someone dangerous. Someone who violated others without even knowing. That's the thing about parasomnia. It robs you of agency, makes you do things you'd never choose, turns you into someone you don't recognize. And when you wake up, when you're finally conscious again, you have to deal with the consequences of actions you never intended, never controlled, never remembered. That's a special kind of hell. Living with crimes you committed but didn't choose. Being innocent and guilty at the same time. The law sees it one way, but I see it another. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make peace with both.